Hello and welcome back to the Fixing Football podcast with me, Martin Naylor, and it's the ever-present crew tonight, the gruesome twosome dynamic duo of the Fixing Football podcast. Liam, welcome. How are you, mate?
Very well, Martin. How you doing? You okay?
Really good, feeling good. Everything's all right. It's been another weird weekend because no Arsenal, so I was struggle what to do with myself. Usually try and wedge a football match in between a busy weekend, but nothing going on. I end up watching bits and bits of other teams and then waiting and wondering why we're not playing. But obviously it's because we threw the FA Cup to concentrate on the league, and that's the story and I'm sticking to it. So it was FA Cup weekend and it's been a long one. It's still going on tonight as we're recording this. It started on Thursday.
I've watched a lot of FA Cup games this weekend. I was just thinking about it then. A lot. I've seen a lot of FA Cup as well as getting in a Bolton game as well. So it's been a long weekend of football. Yeah.
Well, let's start at Bolton then. Bolton had a league match. Comfortable win as it seemed to run out. Is there any particular highlights or anything? I know that the points are looking good in your favour now.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Carlisle did beat us at home. So going there and winning, whilst on paper it is a game that we should win, away games, when you're chasing a league or a promotion, they're never easy. Then you shouldn't take them for granted. And we played really well. Not many teams will stop us when we play like that. So that was good to see. Obviously, our debutant Ogbete got a goal. That was good to see.
I thought I hadn't seen him. Where's he from?
He's from Swansea. Got him on loan. Right. Swansea. He was at Peterborough last season and did very well there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I struggled to break into Swansea side this season. So a very good signing, to be completely honest. As well, completed a signing today on the other of Calvin Ramsey from Liverpool.
You had mentioned a right back earlier about somewhere that you'd like to strengthen.
Yeah, and that is a real signing, and we weren't really expected to get him. Really, there was a lot of Championship clubs particularly interested. I think Leeds were really interested in him, but based on the fact of what Conor Bradley did last year, he's chosen Bolton. I think Liverpool, by all accounts, were very happy for him to come here. That wasn't the issue. It was more on him. You know, he had Southampton on the table as well, but essentially he's chosen to try and emulate what Bradley did and come to Bolton.
It clearly helps. It helps when clubs have that relationship, and someone like Bradley, who can, I think he was your player of the season last year, can have a successful year and go back and report and think this is the place. It's a decent place to be. It's obviously it's an hour away. It's not that. There's all that to take into account.
Yeah, look, with these loan players, there's some that you see that we get, and straight away you're like, wow, there's talent there. Bradley was definitely like that. Yeah. As was Trafford. I'd say some that maybe didn't. Shortire wasn't the worst, but he didn't have that immediate sort of talent. And we've had others that haven't worked out. And Mbete from City, that really didn't work out. So it can be quite hit and miss. But, Calvin Ramsey's a player that's played for Scotland. He signed for Liverpool for $6 million after a very good Aberdeen season. Didn't break into the Preston team this season. So that's why I think maybe Liverpool were reluctant to go back to the Championship. They didn't want to cover. They wanted him to play. And from our perspective, I imagine he'll probably start in tomorrow night's game.
Good. You've seen who you're playing tomorrow night?
Blackpool away in the Bristol Street Mortars Trophy, which I'm going to, actually. I'm heading to Blackpool tomorrow night for that.
Blackpool away is the one. Arsenal played Blackpool away a few years ago, and it was just a good little night out.
Great day. It's
it's better on a Saturday, isn't it?
But Bolton away tickets so hard to come by now, and they've got the away season tickets, which is good. I think people who go every week should obviously get first priority, but it means to me, I don't go to every away game. I go to as many as I can. I don't have the funds to do every away game, to be honest. But so I probably wouldn't have got them for the league game. So when this cup game and this opportunity came by, I was like, I'm absolutely doing that. So looking forward to it.
We spoke about loan players and like having that relationship. We did it with Arsenal for quite a while. With obviously started quite successfully with Wilshere, and then who was the lad after Wilshere who you got, the striker? I was really struggling. I keep wanting to.
Wellington Silva.
No, before him, in between Wilshere and Silva,
Rio
the striker.
Benica Forby.
Benica Forb, yeah.
Benica Forby. Rio Miachi as well.
Rio Miachi, yeah. We had high hopes for all these lot, but it was obviously on.
Miachi broke his leg, didn't he, at Wigan? That didn't help.
Yeah, obviously didn't help. Yeah, he was a bit of a speed merchant. He's still going strong somewhere in the world.
St. Pauli, I think he's at.
No, you know what? I did check the other day. He's back in Japan. But
saying that, I bet he's in his 30s now, isn't he?
He will be.
Where's my life going?
But I know these youngsters who were young when we was young, but we were calling them youngsters now. They're all in the 30s. We're getting worried. And yeah, Benica Forb, he was a bit like, sort of come through a bit like Nketiah, really good at under 21 level, really good through the academy, needed that experience out on loan. Obviously, it worked so well for Wilshere, but just never really clicked for him, Premier League level.
Yeah, he's had a good championship career, Benica Forby.
Yeah.
Bit like a top-end championship striker. Not sure where he is now, to be honest. I think he might be in the Middle East. Is he in the Middle East?
I thought he might be.
He is. Al Dhafri, yeah, he is in the Middle East. He's in the UAE, so not quite joined our friends in Saudi, but he's in that part of the world.
There's still time for him yet. So another few... In fact, you mentioned Liverpool. We'll get onto that in a little minute. Any other notable fixtures? And I mean, this nearly turned into another Man United podcast, and I'm dreading going back to them lot. Piss me off them lot, but... United v Newport was a close one. I mean, it didn't turn out that way in the end.
No, I think United pulled away at the end. I think there was a danger in that game for Man United, to be completely honest. I think they really came at them in the second half, Newport. And if I was Man United, I'd be just pleased I'm through, I think, if I was a United fan.
Yeah.
I think you can overthink it, and yeah, they've given away another 2-goal lead, and obviously that's not great, but they're through. And it was relatively comfortable in the end. I think we can overhype it, but I think they always looked like they were going to win it, really. So for me, and I think for a lot of people, I think the result of the weekend is obviously Maidstone winning away at Ipswich. That is...
Big time, that. There's something like 90 places between them in the Football League.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's the 6th tier, that. That's National League South, isn't it? And
yeah.
I think it's like the first time since the 70s someone at that level's been at this far in the competition. I think my moment of the weekend was the draw, and seeing them absolutely not pretending that they were gutted that they got Sheffield Wednesday or Coventry in the draw.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all crated around in a shed somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely no qualms in pretending that isn't the draw that they wanted.
Oh, fucking hell, Sheffield.
But there we go. Good luck to them and all that.
It lends itself back to our seeding argument, but it probably wouldn't have taken to effect in this round anyway. So we're going into the 5th round now. Is that right? I stopped caring as soon as Arsenal are out, so this is a draw for the 5th round.
The draw for the 5th round. That's right.
This could
be, I think, the current round is potentially the last ever round with replays, because it looks like they are going to be dropped for next year at all rounds, which I mean, something we've covered already in a different podcast, but I personally think it's a shame, but that's where we are, really. The Premier League ultimately decides what goes on in English football.
It is a shame that some clubs are going to miss out on money. I think that's what we covered, but the luck of the draw still may prevail and help out. I don't know. We can go on to fixture pile up again another time, but yeah, I'm in favour of getting rid of them. But I don't like seeing clubs miss out on money, so we'll see how that folds out next year. So one thing I did want to chat about before we talk on the main topic is the big announcement Friday morning that blew up everyone's WhatsApp group. Every lad's chat in the country went a bit nuts at about 11 o'clock on Friday morning. Jurgen Klopp, he's handed his notice in. Time's time. Klopp is on his way out of Liverpool. First of all, this is massive, that, innit?
I think there is an initial shock to that news because Jurgen Klopp has become an absolute staple in English football, not just in the Premier League, just in English football in general. Very much up there when you're discussing the best managers that have managed in the Premier League. Absolutely right up there. Top 5, if not top 3, that sort of level. So there was an initial shock. You take a step back from the news and it kind of does make sense a little bit, really. He has been there a long time.
There was always talk of the 7-year itch, wasn't it? And this is going to be, is this his 8th season now? Or maybe into his 9th? I'm not 100% sure on the times.
Obviously, if we're wrong, people will tell us.
People will correct us in their droves. But
I can live with that. I can live with being wrong.
Anyway, he's sort of extended his stay, I believe, thanks to his wife at some point. But it's massive news. He is right up there in terms of coaches. Can I ask a question? Has he underachieved in comparison to his reputation?
No, and we joke a lot about this with Arteta, but it's very hard to put the team he's created in context in a world where City isn't there. So, because they are there, and where Liverpool was when he took over, there was no guarantees he got them to this level. I think we take for granted Liverpool now as this kind of back to its greatness, huge, big hitter of English football. But for a lot of time we were growing up, they were a cup team.
They were also runs, weren't they?
Yeah, they were a very strong cup team who I put in a similar road as sort of Sevilla, like in terms of La Liga, almost where they're competing for the scraps that the big boys don't take domestically and maybe pick up a second rate in Europe. And that's what they were for a long, long time before he got there.
Many years, 30 years. They didn't win the Premier League until, very recently.
Yeah. Now, Brendan Rodgers sort of got the wheels turning, I think, and started to make Liverpool believe in what it could be again. But Jurgen Klopp took them to levels that we've not really seen other than Man City at the same time as them. So for me, he's not underachieved. I know what you think, Ryan.
Not underachieved, because you're very right. You have to look at it in the context with Man City, and he has won a Champions League and a Premier League, and a few other bits. I haven't researched his record, but Liverpool have been very strong ever since he's arrived. When in 20 years' time, when we look back on his record, he will have been there for 8 to 9 years, to be confirmed, and he's won 1 Premier League. Now, does that put him in the great standings of Liverpool managers gone by, where he's up there with Bill Shankly and Kenny Dalglish and whoever else Liverpool want to put as their best manager of all time? I love him. I think he's a fantastic manager. He's clearly got great rapport with the fans. He suits Liverpool. It's a case of right man at the right time. Like I said, they were eighth and dropping when Rodgers came in, and he sort of, like you're right, steadied the ship. And other than the infamous Gerrard slip season, they weren't really doing anything. So when Klopp came and he took a while to get going. So the question mark is over his record in terms of an all-time great, and it's always going to have that asterisk. Is yes, he was fantastic, but there was this City side that were unbelievable.
Yeah, I take your point, but in 20 years, what will it say next to that City side? I suppose is an interesting question, really.
that is a massive question.
Where's that asterisk going to really land?
It's going to be I can think of 115 asterisks that they can put next to that.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that you're probably right to some extent. And some people will use that against him, but I think if people are honest with themselves in what they've seen greatness with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool.
He's broke 90 points. I think, didn't they get 97 points and not win the league?
Yeah. So we've like, there's no question of what we've seen is complete greatness. And anyone who tries to deny that by, I think, hiding behind almost nasty statistics is essentially lying to me and themselves. Like, it's just not what we've seen.
I am. I'm more. I'm playing devil's advocate because I think he's fantastic. He would have. I think coming in at the time he came in at Liverpool, there was probably a couple of jobs floating around that he might have been able to get. I think he was very heavily linked with Man United for a little bit as well. Was it right at the end of the Fergie period when, or Moyes or something? Yeah.
Let's not forget his other achievements at Dortmund. Like, he's won 2 leagues at Dortmund, Champions League final. Like, these aren't. I mean, Liverpool, yeah, traditionally you would look at it, but at the time he's gone in, these aren't clubs that are sweeping up domestically. Dortmund was off the back of essentially nearly going bust in the 2000s.
Yeah, they were on a shoestring and, got lucky with some rude signings like a Lewandowski and a Aubameyang and Marco Reus coming through and Mario Götze and all these people who, the legendary names now we've grown up with. But they're all part of his teams coming through.
Yeah.
What did you make of his statement about him sort of running out of energy? And do you think it was honest, or I'm not trying to point any fingers at him. To me, it looked very honest, like he was done. His statement, in terms of however you want to take it, and the timing of it, I just want to touch on that for a second because, to me, it struck as a last roll of a last push for the title. Obviously, they're sitting in first at the moment. Is that how you would take it?
A bit of both, I think. He probably is tired. And
he looks it, to be fair.
Yeah, it's relentless going up every year. And the Premier League is such a demanding, scrutinised place. And yeah, I can sense that you would be tired. I don't think that's difficult. Like, it makes sense to me. And, a change is as good as a rest. He may well fancy a new challenge, a new set of parameters, maybe a different league or maybe international football, something a little bit different, just to revitalise and get away. Because I do feel like that Liverpool Man City rivalry, as great as the football's been, I do feel like it has got a weird toxicity to it. Like, you either win or you're dog shit, and you're lost to history, and and I don't think it's been a healthy rivalry to be part of him and Pep. Like,
yeah, it's like it's friendly, but it's not friendly.
No, I don't think it's friendly at all. I think
such a surface friendship, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not. I don't think there's much respect there, to be honest. It's not correct respect. I don't think they do completely respect each other. I think they hate each other personally. I think they've got not a nice thing really to see each other privately. Like, you're right, it's service and it's all managed PR, but those two clubs just really, really don't get on. Which is not a surprise given the two cities that they're in. That naturally, spend a lot of time in Manchester. And in Manchester, you don't like Scousers. You just don't like Scousers.
It's like the rule, isn't it?
Any of them. Like,
and in Liverpool, you don't like anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I can see him being tired. And maybe it is one last go for the title, but I don't know.
I'm hoping the wheels fall off and all the players starting looking elsewhere as well, because no one doesn't want to play under Klopp anymore. I think a lot of them players maybe were hanging on with him, ride it out as far as it's gone, and he's the one who's bolted first. So we will see how it plays out.
Right, yeah, whatever. Anyway, Martin, right, so you asked a question at the end of the last episode. Remind us what it was.
You're right, I did. So the question, super question time that we're doing now, at the end of the last episode, was what is the lowest points total ever scored, I think is the correct word, to stay safe in the Premier League, but a team has stayed up with. And the answer was 34. That was by West Brom in the famous season where they were bottom at Christmas. And I think they were the first team to...
Yes, that Survival Sunday, was it?
It was, yeah.
all four could stay up and only one could.
That's right. So
Yeah.
West Brom were bottom at Christmas, and famously that was the signing of the death certificate. But they did it that season under Brian Robson, I think it was.
Brian Robson, I remember Kieran Richardson being paraded around like the Messiah. I remember.
It was, yeah. So 34 points was the answer, if anyone got that. There was a lot of messages and stuff over Twitter and in the DMs, so thank you for that. We will have another question at the end of the episode. So we'll take a break and then we'll crack on. And we're back. Liam, one of the things we did see FA Cup weekend is a lot of crowd trouble. It's been quite well publicised. Especially, you can't go anywhere on Twitter without seeing a video of some poor lad getting battered halfway around the stadium. But there's two quite notable ones at West Brom. So the Black Country Derby, West Brom v Wolves, which hasn't happened for a few seasons. And there was one at Port Vale as well, which I think was quite bad. So there's a couple images going around of people covered in blood, and I mean, talk me through what you know about that.
Well, I think when a lot of people saw the draw that there was a potential of a Black Country Derby, it wasn't quite as because the two teams weren't at that point guaranteed to be through. There wasn't that Sunderland Newcastle moment of ooh, but like I think I did mention it that there is a possibility of a Black Country Derby. I think I mentioned it on the pod because I'd clocked it. Yeah, and
it never struck me as a particularly heated derby.
Yeah, it is, and they've not played each other for quite a while.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
and that's the thing that it's a little bit different in the cup with these types of derbies, particularly they've not played each other in a while, and also with the bigger allocations. This is what causes a little bit more angst about it.
It strikes me when Millwall get Chelsea in the is it the Football Factory in the film?
Yeah,
it's fucking Millwall.
This is it. So it's massive because it just brings up this opportunity that you've not had in a long time.
Yeah.
So there was always a danger really of this, and I think from what we can see, and obviously we don't know all the facts, but I think we've been able to piece together that it appears that there were some Wolves fans that were in the West Brom end.
Yes.
And from videos that I've seen and shared in the group, it looks like they weren't particularly subtle with regards to being in there.
That's the thing. I feel like I see this a bit more often, that fans are just getting tickets however and whenever, and dotting themselves all over and over enemy lines, if you will. I've
done it a few years back. I did it in the Blackburn end at Bolton Blackburn.
I did it by accident once. My mum told me she got tickets for Arsenal v Bolton, and there's the first and last time I ever trusted Mama Naylor to get some tickets. It was me and Luke sat in the Bolton end watching. It was when Lehman and Juve got into a bit of a spat.
Oh yeah,
and Freddie, we won 1-0, and I was honestly I had an Arsenal top on, and Luke actually had a plain t-shirt on because he had to give me his jumper.
No, I remember that one. But yeah, obviously I do like ITV absolutely milking the idea. These are scenes that we don't want to see. Yet possibly the single reason they probably selected it for TV. They know exactly why it's on there. They talk about the rivalry.
They know they're going to get an atmosphere. It's going to make good TV, and hopefully there's some fireworks in the crowd as well. And it seems that was the case.
So yeah, it doesn't look great, and it's a particularly bad one. And I think what seemed to me is that the police really struggled to calm the situation down.
I saw players. It was getting close to the players' families' enclosure. I know people like Kyle Bartley was pulling his family out and taking them down the tunnel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to see stuff like that.
No, I mean, it looks a little bit performative to me, to be completely honest, but I'll give Kyle the benefit of the doubt. But somebody played for both Bolton and Arsenal there.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, not good at all, really. But
what can be done? What can be done here? Should clubs be more aware of this sort of presence?
It's definitely more prominent.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a few Bolton games where, certainly after COVID, it seems to be a lot worse. Now, there was a reason given, maybe in like the 12, 18 months when stadiums got opened up again, that a big reason for this was sort of like pent up frustrations, and I'm not really by that now, to be honest.
No.
We're ages ago now, and it's not really getting better.
Them headlines are like humans are just rabid dogs just waiting to
Yeah.
get out.
So the honest answer is I don't know. I think with these, and we'll talk about the Port Vale one in a moment, because that's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
I think the biggest question that comes on after what's happened at the Black Country Derby is, should FA Cup allocations be completely set in stone at 10? I think it's 15%, or like whatever it is. Should that be set in stone, or should there be additional powers for games like this? And should Wolves have been given a whole end at West Brom? Because I just think, just in that many Wolves fans being there, it potentially puts West Brom fans on edge. It creates a different edge for it. I imagine West Bromwich just felt like it was full of Wolves fans. It feels invasive. It feels like it would bother you.
Yeah.
If you're a West Brom fan. So
is there a fixed percentage currently, or is it up to the club's discretion?
No, these are all fixed. So
by the FA because of the cup.
It's over the league. It's over each individual competition. Yeah. So the Premier League is quite low. I think it's around 10%. It's quite low. Might be less than that. I've not checked the percentages. Maybe I should have known before I open this point up.
10% sounds right though.
Yeah, it's around that, and the FA Cup is substantially higher. So that's why, and as is the League Cup as well. So when you see these huge cup, I always think that, to be fair, the Emirates, it seems really, you can really see it there, because you give them all the bottom, don't they? There's like this big swath at the bottom.
It's like 6,000, which would be almost exactly 10%. So that sounds about right.
So it's huge, this area that they have in the cup games at the Emirates, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of the increased attendances that you allowed. So there's a bit of an interesting dynamic in the Bolton game tomorrow. So Bolton really take this competition seriously. We've talked about this on the pod. We're probably the only team in the country that does, right? It's weird. We just liked Wembley. It was a good day out. So I think it's for our game tomorrow, sold out in, I think, less than 24 hours. 2,600 tickets for this cup game, right? There'll be more Bolton fans there than Blackpool fans. I guarantee that. But Bolton fans are expecting more to go on sale because of the recent game against Nottingham Forest. Blackpool gave Forest 4,000. But that's because this competition had a different limit.
Right, okay.
So it's all different ones for different competitions, and it's all bizarre. So I think that's the big debate, whether there is almost a discretionary element to this, where you could turn and go, maybe we shouldn't give Wolves 8,000 tickets for this Black Country Derby.
I don't expect to know the answer to this question, but I know policing and policing costs, can change, varying game to game.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just taken into account as well, is the fact that if you have 8,000 Wolves fans there instead of the 2,000 which you've allocated for, I don't know where the costings for paying for policing and extra stewards and whatever for each game. I don't know where that responsibility would lie, and I think maybe the FA should be more taking part in that funding.
If anyone wants to correct me if I'm wrong, then that's absolutely fine. But my understanding on that is that it gets billed afterwards to the home club. So the home club has no discretion on what their costs are going to be, and it essentially gets dumped on them. And this is where the competition becomes a bit of an issue. I've seen Andy Hull at Accrington Stanley talk quite a lot about this, because he does like to give big allocations to away fans, because it's a good earner for Accrington Stanley. But the problem is that when you get a fan base that isn't as well behaved, like a Bolton, that it can almost be outweighed by the cost of extra policing. And there's not really much they can do about it, because essentially that's not on the, even though theoretically it depends on who the away is, the cost is on the home club for essentially hosting the game.
Interesting. So you mentioned the Port Vale game as well. How was that different? I know there was obviously troubles as well in that one.
Well, it was a league game. Just conscious that we segued saying FA Cup, and I thought about it afterwards, going, actually, no, that was a league game. So I think it was the 85th minute penalty decision to Portsmouth, who are pushing for promotion themselves.
This is at Port Vale.
At Port Vale. Now, anyone who's been to Port Vale, you would not be surprised. Well, obviously, it's a shocking incident that is surprising and alarming. But if you're a League One fan and you're going to pick a potential ground that this would happen at, I would have put Vale Park pretty high on my coupon of where this is going to be. Yeah. Ridiculous. Like,
describe to me what happened, because I'm ignorant to this situation.
Really?
All I know that there was troubles in this game. Stuff kicked off. But yeah, I only meant my focus had been sort of Wolves and West Brom.
Well, you'll have to let me know, because I'll share it with you afterwards, and we'll retweet it on the Twitter page. But
it'll be on our Twitter later. Yeah,
I can't believe you've not seen this. Right, so I'm trying to figure. Hopefully, my description does this justice. So, obviously, the penalty, after some deliberation with the linesman, is awarded, and Portsmouth, through Colby Bishop, convert and go 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go. At which point, a fan enters the pitch and chases the referee off the pitch.
What?
Like,
so,
and no one does anything. Everyone just stands watching this happen, and the referee isn't looking for quite a while. And as you're watching it, you're like, he's not, and he's running directly at the ref, and the ref sees him and runs away. It's awful. It's a little bit funny to watch because of the shock of it, but the reality is of the situation, it is terrible. Like,
wow.
But scenes similar to what we saw in Turkey with.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was mental.
Yeah, with the
chairman.
Punched the referee, which is thing. But like, it's quite a serious thing what's happened here. And I think watching it back, what's quite disappointing is that it doesn't seem like anyone reacts. He's running between players away, like the sneaking between players to run away. Like,
I can imagine people just think it's another knobhead just giving it big and running onto the pitch, whether they understand that there is hate in his eyes and he's chasing down a man here.
It genuinely looks like it's like a sideshow, like it's like a planned little.
Right.
Yeah, you just can't believe it. So, yeah, anyone who's not seen it, please watch it. But
it'll be on our Twitter feed after this.
It's ridiculous.
So, what's obviously the cause here is a potential dodgy decision. What is the fix here that should be? Do you think the fix is just Port Vale get punished because of their lack of security, their lack of being able to safeguard the pitch properly, or is it I don't know. Is it something else bigger? Is it?
For me, at what point with something like that do you decide this is beyond the threshold of just punishing the individual? Like, we need to make an example of that club that's not all right.
We've seen, less threatening actions in terms of actual violence be punished with stuff like playing matches behind closed doors and things like that. I mean, if that's what you're alluding to, so it wouldn't surprise me if this is the case, and it is down to one dickhead at the end of the day. Yeah,
I would. No one likes collective punishment, but sometimes you've got to turn and go, that's not all right. Like, and we need to make sure that everyone fucking knows that that's not all right.
Yeah.
Right. And punishing one person, which no one will really see, we'll hear about it maybe 3 or 4 months later, like the Tottenham fella who attacked Ramsdale, and it'll be, and then it'll just be forgotten about, and it'll just. But we need to, I think, in instances like that, and I'm sorry for all the nice Port Vale fans out there, which I'm sure there are because every club has some nice fans, right? But for me, you need to make an example of.
Fair enough. I tend to agree, because I feel that as well as this just being, down to one crazy man's actions, the club do have to hold some responsibility as well for not being able to safeguard the pitch, which is there on a match day, is the facilities staff's job. That's what they have to do. So I'm fully behind this campaign. Port Vale fans, like we say, we're very sorry that you're going to have to go through this.
I'm not that sorry.
Yeah, I don't care. It's,
and if you're unhappy, you can both like and subscribe.
One question I did have before we wrap it up is, do you think that we're seeing a rise on this sort of behaviour in the game? And if if there's something causing this, is it just Twitter mob mentality? Kids getting out of hand, watching something like Green Street and getting the Stone Island jackets on and thinking this is the way to do it? Or is it, Green Street's 20 years old, so I don't know where they're getting these ideas from now that it's cool. For me, I feel like I'm seeing it in terms of, you see posts online of fans going mental and abuse or whatever, violence. You've seen bottles being thrown at teams' coaches and stuff like that recently as well. So, do you think this is something that's a cause for concern?
Possibly. Possibly. And when you ask that question like that, I'm sat there thinking, is it more prevalent or is it more visible because of people recording stuff? My instinct, and it is only instinct, is telling me that both are true. There is a rise and it is more visible. And people just will stand there and film anything now, no matter what. Like, they'll just stand there. So, in terms of what's causing it, that is a tough question.
Yeah, I haven't put too much thought into into the why, really, why this is happening. But the cause could be the same as, you see something and you copy it. So you see one video of a couple of fans getting aggy and you think your fans want to do the same. So the causation is its own thing, really, that you see more of it, like the bloody happy slapping trend. And yes, I am that old. I could have gone You've Been Tangled, but I didn't want to age myself that much. But yeah, you see it happening, and the more you see it, the more it happens. So that could be the cause.
Maybe. I think potentially people more under the influence of whatever they may be under the influence of playing a part, but
that's another episode as well.
Yeah, we could list dozens of reasons as to why it's happening, and I think we'll kick that can down the road for another day, I reckon.
Fair enough. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Before we go, you have a question for everyone?
Yeah, and I will start by giving you guys a clue, is that neither of them played for Port Vale. So, which two players have won the joint most Premier League Player of the Month awards?
Interesting. Right. Well, we'll wrap it up there, Liam. Thanks very much, mate. I like it when it's just us.
I do. It's good. Obviously, I hope that Scott and Luke get better soon. How's the ice bath going? Your bucket in the garden?
It's really good. You know what? I'm on day 29 as of recording, and I haven't missed a day. Up to the optimal 3 minutes a day, up to the shoulders, and whatever the longevity effects are in terms of your overall health, whatever they may or may not be, it definitely increases your mood. And mood was not something I ever felt like I could measure, but this is it just works. I just really like it, and it'll be something I do. It'll be something I continue to do for as long as I can. If anyone else would like to do it, my good friends at Lumi, who provided mine, reached out. So if you would like to get 15% off your own cold plunge, ice bath, whatever you want to do, use the code MLNTheDJ. That's lumitherapy.co.uk/MLNTheDJ, and you'll get 15% off. And maybe I'll get a bit of a kickback, but whatever. You'll feel good about it anyway, so it's a win-win.
Just for you, Just so you move on. What makes 3 minutes? Why is that optimal? What's optimal?
I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
They say the 3 minutes, 3 to 6 minutes, depending on how cold you have it, and the range of temperatures between 10 and 15 degrees C. Which
it's like a chart of
yeah,
if it's cold, you stay in for this long.
So I have it just around 10 degrees C, and do 3 minutes. Sometimes I have done up to 4, but in general I've done 3 minutes every day.
It is, just before you carry on, obviously a question that came up in the group that I must admit I've been chewing on since. Do we know why 10% 10 degrees in the water is cold, but 10 degrees outside is normal? Yeah.
Please, any scientists out there, any physiologists, please hit us up, because I can't understand why 10 degrees outside feels like t-shirt weather, especially this time of year, but 10 degrees feels mild, and you're getting 10 degrees of water and it is freezing. Yeah, I'm shivering. I can't work it out. So if
Do you
anyone
wear gloves? Do you wear gloves?
No. They advise that you should wear socks. I do wear a bob hat just because it's cold, but I don't like the breeze. So I do wear a bob hat. But the last day, I'm going to be dunking my head for the first time, and then I'm going to take it from there. Okay. So that'll be no hat day. They do advise you should wear socks, especially at first, because your extremities can get a little bit nippy.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I haven't done. Just shorts and a bob hat, and then I'm in. And it's, honestly, I love it. I'll be something I'll continue to do. It's like, say you can get yourself 15% off if you.
What was the website again, Martin?
Lumi Therapy, LUMI therapy.co.uk/MLN the DJ.
And if anyone wants any advice on it, they should ask someone who knows what they're talking about. Not.
Yeah, don't ask me. I just watched a video on YouTube and thought it was a cool idea. But please do feel free to do your own research and crack on. And it's a lot cheaper than buying a sauna, so you can go the other way. Liam, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it. Luke, I hope you've fallen off the fizzy pop wagon, but we hope you're recovering well. And we'll catch up with you all soon. You can find all the links to this week's episode and next week's and last week's at www.fixingfootballpodcast.com, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Goodbye, everyone.